lovely poem that he's written. So we'll come to all of that, but first let's introduce all our panelists. Arif Ajakya ji is with us.
नमस्कार.
Good to have you here in Bharat. आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. Anand Ranganathan, a familiar face here on CNN News 18 and everywhere, omnipresent, omniscient actually on social media and otherwise. So he's there with us and he is the Darwinian atheist amongst us. So to get the Ram perspective from him will be interesting. Vishnu Shankar Jain, well, him and his father, I think the Hindu fraternity overall owes a lot to them because they are the ones who have pursued the litigation on certain matters of Hindu Astha diligently, and over decades they have done that. But first, let's go straight across to somebody who I am a huge fan of. और उनके तो अभी आज सीधा दिल में ही त्रिशूल है. That is कैलाश खेर जी. कैलाश खेर जी, नमस्ते.
जी प्रणाम, नमस्कार.
मैं सबसे पहले आपसे ही शुरू करना चाहता हूं कि राम कौन है आपके लिए और भारतवर्ष के लिए.
कण कण रमन्ते इति रामः, जो कण कण में है वही राम है. और अब तो राम हृदय हृदय जग गए हैं. पिछले कुछ वर्षों से तो मेरा भारत क्या संपूर्ण विश्व राममय है. क्यों? क्योंकि जो होना चाहिए था अब वो हो रहा है. और जब अनुचित उचित में बदलने लगे तो समझ लीजिए जैसे हर हृदय में राम जग गए हैं.
पर लोग कहते हैं राम
जीवन की शैली में.
हाँ, आप कंप्लीट कीजिए, फिर मैं पूछता हूं. जीवन की शैली में हमारे जीवन जीने में हम के रोजमर्रा का जो भी हम जिस तरह से उसमें राम का होना अब प्रदर्शित हो रहा है. Let's just take this into the studio here. राम तो काल्पनिक है, विष्णु शंकर जैन. Many people say, what's the history? The person sitting next to you will ask you, what is the historicity or proof that Ram exists?
See, the fact is that you can ask these questions to me because I am a Sanatani and I will have answers on the basis of scriptures and on the basis of very clinching evidences. But I'll answer to that question, but I want to ask a question that whether we can ask these kind of questions for someone else's religion. If we will ask these kind of questions, there will be slogans of Sar Tan Se Juda. So the fact of the matter is that we have in the legal case lot of clinching document as to the time, place of birth of Lord Ram, because there was an issue before the Allahabad High Court and the Faizabad Court and the Supreme Court that whether Lord Ram is born at this very place. And that evidences were given, of astrological evidences were given, because we have specific date of Lord Ram. And I want to ask a question. If Lord Ram is a myth, whether the Ram Setu which is existing is a myth? If Lord Ram is a myth, whether the Ramayana and the entire Ram Mandir itself, the evidences which we got is a myth? If you will go and read the ASI report which was filed in Ram Mandir case, the ASI report says that they found a cellular shrine within the so-called Babri Masjid. वरा देवता की मूर्ति मिली थी. कितने देवी देवताओं की मूर्तियां मिली थी? 14 कसौटी के पिलर्स मिले थे. सो ऑल दिस इज अ मिथ. और जो अबुल फजल ने, फॉरगेट अबाउट माय स्क्रिप्चर्स, अबुल फजल who has written Aine Akbari during the time of Akbar, in 1593 he has written that people are worshipping here within the Ram court, and on Ram Navami there is a huge celebration. So Lord Ram means justice to all, appeasement to none. एंड जो भगवान राम ने कहा है हमेशा कि बिन भय होए न प्रीत, तो वही चीज लीगल बैटल के माध्यम से हमने साबित करने की कोशिश की. और जो सेटल्ड सनातन प्रिंसिपल्स हैं, वंस अ टेम्पल ऑलवेज अ टेम्पल, उन सारे आधार पे मेरे जो सीनियर है माननीय पराशरन साहब, वैद्यनाथन साहब, इन्होंने आर्गुमेंट्स किए.
विल कम बैक टू दैट इन जस्ट अ बिट. कैलाश खेर जी भी हमारे साथ हैं. कैलाश जी, ये भी के मोहम्मद साहब से जब मैंने बात किया तो उन्होंने कहा कि देखिए 75-76 में जब बतौर एक स्टूडेंट बीबी लाल के अंडर जब वहाँ गए थे तो उनको वहाँ पे एक इंस्क्रिप्शन मिला जिसमें लिखा कि यहाँ पर उस देवता, उस विष्णु का मंदिर है जिसने वाली का वध किया और जिसने दशमुखी राजा का वध किया. तो ये तो सिर्फ राम ही हो सकते हैं. बट उनको आप क्या कहेंगे जो ये कहते हैं कि राम काल्पनिक है? डू यू एग्री? डू यू
देखिए जी, इसी पृथ्वी पर मनुष्य तो सब हैं दिखने में, लेकिन क्या सब मनुष्य जैसे जी रहे हैं? इसी योनि में, इसी रूप में, इसी चोले में बहुत सारे बुद्धिहीन और घृणित आत्माएं भी हैं। जिस प्रकार से युगों युगों से हर युग में देवता भी हुए, असुर भी हुए, तो भले उनका स्वरूप आपको लगे ऐसा ही कि हाँ ये भी कुछ ऐसे ही दिख रहे हैं, नहीं, ऐसा नहीं। कितने लोग कबर बिज्जू हैं, कितने लकड़बग्गे हैं, हाँ पैकेज उनका मनुष्य दिखता है, मनुष्य जैसा। कितने लोग अभी भी बड़ी हीनता की बातें कर रहे हैं, भगवान राम के बारे में तुच्छ बातें कर रहे हैं। उससे ये साबित होता है कि वो दिखने में जरूर मनुष्य जैसे हैं परंतु हैं नहीं। इसलिए उनको, उन पे ज्यादा ध्यान न दिया जाए, क्योंकि तुच्छता को हम ज्यादा उजागर न करें, अच्छाई को उजागर करें। अभी हमारा मैं अटल हूं ये फिल्म है, नेशनल अवार्ड विनर इसके डायरेक्टर हैं रवि जाधव, नेशनल अवार्ड विनर इसके एक्टर हैं पंकज त्रिपाठी। और अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी के जीवनी पर यह फिल्म आधारित है। 19 जनवरी को ये फिल्म विमोचित होगी पूरे जगत के लिए
जी।
इसका कल ही गाना विमोचित हुआ है, राम धुन,
हाँ जी,
जो कि लिखा, कंपोज्ड और सिंगिंग द्वारा हमारे द्वारा है, आपके कैलाश खेर द्वारा
जी।
तो उसकी बड़ी चर्चा चल रही है, बड़ा आजकल, क्योंकि वायरल एक चीज चलती है, बहुत वायरल हो रहा है। तो मैं आपको पहले देखिए, जो अच्छी बातें हैं उनका जब गुणगान होता है उसे संकीर्तन कहते हैं
जी।
तो क्यों ना हम संकीर्तन करें, क्योंकि बात तो कब से हो रही है लेकिन हर बात जैसी हो नहीं रही। हमारे बड़े कहते आए हैं, बोलो चालो बको मत, चलो फिरो थको मत, खाओ पियो छको मत। तो बहुत सारे लोग बोलते नहीं, वो बकते हैं। तो इसलिए मैं राम धुन में सबको ले जाता हूँ। झूठ जगत का नहीं भरोसा, एक भरोसा एक ही नाम, जय श्री राम जय श्री राम जय श्री राम। बाहर बाहर भटक रहे और भीतर भीतर बैठे राम, जय श्री राम जय श्री राम जय श्री राम। जब धुन की लागी राम नाम की, भूल गए सब काम, राम धुन 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 राम राम।
क्या बात है कैलाश जी, आप सुर छेड़ते हैं तो ऐसा सीधा दिल को छू जाता है। पर मैं आपसे एक प्रश्न और पूछना चाहता हूँ बिफोर आई कम बैक इनटू स्टूडियो। आप भी भोले बाबा के भक्त हैं, प्रभु श्री राम भी भोले बाबा के भक्त थे, यहाँ विष्णु शंकर जैन भी बैठे हैं, भोले बाबा के भक्त हैं। मैं खुद जैन है लेकिन भोले बाबा के लिए लड़ भी रहे हैं, ज्ञानवापी पर काम भी कर रहे हैं। रावण भी भोले बाबा के भक्त थे, शिव भक्त हुआ करते थे। तो अगर भगवान जो है भक्त में भेद नहीं करते तो राम राम क्यों है, रावण रावण क्यों है?
तो देखिए क्या होता है, मैंने जैसा बताया कि अपनी अपनी यात्राओं में हम सब हैं। जरूरी नहीं हम जिस पद पर हैं, जिस संज्ञा पर हैं, उसको पूर्ण रूपेण हम वैसे ही निभा रहे हो जिस संज्ञा का नाम दिया गया है। जैसे बहुत पदस्थ पहले भी आए बड़े भारत को चलाने के लिए, उन्होंने भी चलाया, अच्छा काम किया, परंतु जो आज चल रहा है उसकी बात अलग है। तो इसी प्रकार से जो परमात्मा हमारे विष्णु के अवतारी मेरे भगवान राम जो थे, वो तो उनको भी उद्धार करने आए थे। भक्त भले वो भी भोले के ही हों, पर उनको मुक्ति के जो मार्ग बने, मुक्ति के जो केंद्र बने, वो मेरे प्रभु राम ही हैं। उनसे उनको मुक्ति मिली। आपको मैं एक संस्मरण बताता हूँ जो बहुत जगह है नहीं। हमारे बड़ों से ये बात पता लगी कि जब परमात्मा रावण को मुक्त करने के लिए लंका पर जा रहे थे युद्ध के लिए, तो रामेश्वरम में मेरे भगवान राम ने यज्ञ किया, अनुष्ठान किया और मेरे महादेव को मनाया कि दाता अब हम जा रहे हैं उनको मुक्त करने। तो वध करने नहीं, मारने नहीं, मृत्यु नहीं,
मुक्ति, उनको
मुक्त करने, उनको मुक्ति चाहिए। तो मेरे दाता का वो रूप है, वहां भी उनका भक्त और भगवान जैसा ही रूप रहा। रावण को भक्त के रूप में और भगवान को मुक्ति दाता के रूप में। तो इस प्रकार से हमारी, अच्छा, जहां पर आस्थाएं होती हैं वहां पर जितनी भी तुच्छ बातें हैं उनके लिए जगह ही नहीं, जिसे हम तर्क कहते हैं।
राइट।
क्योंकि आस्था से बड़ी कोई चीज ही नहीं।
नहीं, क्या क्या
तो मैं आपके लिए अभी भगवान भोलेनाथ का एक
जी
चमत्कार।
आप दिल की बात समझ देते हैं।
हाथ जोड़ के बोली गवर जाती, 9 लोक बसाए बस्ती में, आप बसे वीराने में, हजी राम भजो जी, राम भजो जी, शिव का वंदन किया करो जी, अगर बम 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 लहरी, अगर बम 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 लहरी।
क्या बात है कैलाश खेर जी, बहुत आनंद आया। अंततः आपसे, अब मैं जानता हूं आपके पास समय अल्प है, तो एक ही आपसे प्रश्न पूछना चाहूंगा कि रोम रोम में राम क्यों है भारत के? क्या क्या एक वैल्यू है या कोई एक बात है जो आपको लगता है कि आज की जनरेशन को राम से सीखने की आवश्यकता है, हम सबको?
भारत एक सनातन संस्कृति का गढ़ है, सनातन संस्कृति का एक केंद्र है, एक पुंज है। मैं आपको बताता हूं, हमारे यहाँ पर किसी का दिल दुखाया नहीं जाता, भले कितने भी पंथ हों। हमने कभी किसी पर आक्रमण किया नहीं। क्यों? क्योंकि हम राम के वंशज हैं, हम राम के पूजक हैं, हम राम के अनुयायी हैं, हम भोले भंडारी के भोले हैं। ये भोले की नगरी है, ये भोलों की नगरी है, इसका नाम है भारतवर्ष।
क्या बात है कैलाश खेर जी, थैंक यू सो मच। आपको साधुवाद, राम धुन में रम जाएं सब के सब, यही हम प्रार्थना करेंगे। आपको ऑल द वेरी वेरी बेस्ट। फिनोमिनल कॉम्पोजिशन देयर फॉर, मैं अटल हूँ। धन्यवाद कैलाश खेर जी, थैंक यू सो मच
जी। प्रणाम। हरिओम।
Now let's bring it back. Let's bring the conversation back into the studio. So this is the aspect of faith. Arif Ajakia ji, if you were to say the philosopher of Pakistan, philosophical father of Pakistan, Allama Iqbal himself said, "Ahle nazar unhe Imam Hind कहते हैं about Ram." Then why is there this whole opposition? And have you ever been able to put a finger? जब if Bethlehem is important for Christians, Makkah, Medina for Muslims, why this whole fight about Hindus having to prove the existence of Ram Janmbhoomi, Krishna Janmabhoomi and Gyanvapi?
Well, before replying to your question, I would like to say something.
Ji, please.
You all are Ram Bhakt by birth. I am Ram Bhakt by choice.
By choice. क्या बात है?
You were given Prabhu Ram by birth. I have found Ram Bhakt, Ramji with a struggle, and by choice means that I believe in Prabhu Ram. Now coming to your question, Pakistan is a case of lost identity. If anyone else would be of Indian origin, he would be proud to be Indian origin because it is richest heritage and civilization in the world. And in every aspect, Indian origin, Indian heritage, Indian civilization, Indian culture is so rich that anyone like me, I am proud of my Indian origin. But in Pakistan, since beginning, every Pakistani is taught in madrasa hatred for Hindus, hatred for India, and they try to become more Arabs than Arabs themselves. Now Saudi Arabia is reforming and they say Saudi kafir hain.
अच्छा.
Islam was born there, Quran was brought up there, Prophet was born there, but now Saudi kafir hain, बिगड़ गए हैं, यहूदियों के दोस्त हैं. This is the message goes on, and now they are trying to be Turkish. And Ertugrul drama, every Pakistani was thinking that I am a Turk warrior and this and that. Maybe they will become Chinese in near future. So this is a case of lost identity. Prabhu Ram, people ask me, why do you believe in Ram? And Prabhu Ram's time, every Indian, irrespective of their caste, creed, culture or ethnicity, language, they were living in peace and prosperity. My ancestors were living in peace and prosperity. I think this was the best ruling oligarchy of India in history. So that's why I believe in Ram, and Pakistanis, they are Murak, because they are case of lost identity. And if they go into reality, they will realize that they belong to richest civilization of the world.
Yeah, because I just wanted, before I bring in Dr. Ranganathan and Vishnuji and we open this conversation up, in Pakistan, some of these, seeds of knowledge, be it Buddhist, Jain or even Hindu, they're all there in current day Pakistan. Was there no value for it? Has there been any value attached to all of that?
Well, no.
Or is it in denial, complete denial there?
It is complete denial, and the basic thing is that we don't have education because our education system is madrasa. And when Imran Khan became Prime Minister, he converted all schools in madrasas. He said, I will finish madrasas, but the curriculum of schools were so Islamic that you don't go beyond 1947. Our history starts from 1947 or Mughal, Tipu Sultan, all these. Now, for example, just today I was thinking that when I passed by Qutub Minar, so I realized that in childhood we read about Qutub Minar, Agra, Taj Mahal, Badshahi Masjid, all these. And they never taught us that there are thousands of years architectural marvelous in South India. Those were also Indian architects, but why they don't own it? So this is basic problem of education. We are not given any education about our heritage, which is Indian. India for us starts from Muhammad bin Qasim. We don't know who was Raja Dahir. We don't know who was Chola dynasty or Maurya dynasty or all these. So this is sad thing.
So Takshashila is not mentioned in the history books.
Beg your pardon?
Takshashila is not mentioned.
It is Pakistani.
Huh?
They say that Pakistan history is 5,000 years old because Mohenjo-daro is in Pakistan. But Pakistan exists since 1947. There was no word, no country, namely Pakistan before 47. But our history starts from 5,000 years. But Mohenjo-daro, and then it jumps to Muhammad bin Qasim, then Ghaznavi and this and all.
Okay, so that appropriation happens. Now, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, as you are thinking, you have said that Ram is necessary for Bharat. But do you believe Ram existed?
First of all, thank you very much, Anand, and to my fellow panelists and Kailashji out there. This is absolutely fantastic. Thank you for having me. What a wonderful discussion. A couple of points, if I may make, before I answer your question, is what a lovely point Arif ji has made. And if one were to read, and I'm sure a lot of our viewers have two iconic books by V.S. Naipaul, Among the Believers and Beyond Belief. He goes into the psychological reasons why countries like Pakistan, Malaysia, the newly converted, they have forgotten their roots, their own culture, and they look towards the sand dunes, as if to say, and he said exactly the same thing. So for them, Indian civilization, Hindu civilization does not exist. What exists is Saudi, and now they're saying that Pakistanis are even annoyed at the Saudis. So what next? Turks, whatever. And it strikes you, and this is something quite amazing, and bear with me. We are proud of what is going to happen in a couple of weeks' time. We are holding these lovely programs, and the whole nation is in a very exuberant mood, right from president down to prime minister, everyone. Have you ever stopped to wonder why? And this is the reason why, if you just look at stone's throw away at erstwhile Vice Regal Lodge or Rashtrapati Bhavan now, and you would see inscription after inscription saying the sun will never set on the British Empire. This is the great, and they made all those amazing buildings in as late as 1911 to 1930 in the belief that empire is going to last 1,000 years. They actually believed, and 20 years after they made those buildings,
it's all gone.
It was gone, and now where is the empire now? But empires may wither away. Our civilization still exists. We are here talking about something that actually need not concern us at all. What happened in 1500, and Vishnuji will give you the exact dates, that is when the Babri Masjid came up. 20 generations were forced to look at the mosque. 20 generations from 1500, I'm just saying 100 years is 3 generations, so 20 generation odd could not see the Ram temple. The 21st is going to see the Ram temple. Isn't that amazing? What else is civilization? That is why civilizations last and empires don't. You know, this is something so beautiful, and it is nothing to do with Hindus at all, or Darwinian atheists, or people who believe staunchly in Bhagwan Ram, or Pakistanis, or Muslims, or Christians, or Buddhists, or Jains. This is our civilization. That is the reason why we are proud we are having this program. We haven't forgotten for the last 20 generations. 21st generation is remembering what pain that the first generation went to in 1500. Isn't that incredible? Now I answer your question. As a Darwinian atheist who believes that the whole human evolution started with, as was shown in 1953 by Stanley Miller, through the basic building blocks of life, and 4 billion years later, here we are. I believe more than asking the question whether Ram actually existed or not, is, as Kailash ji said, आस्था का प्रश्न है. And as Vishnu ji corroborated that, कि आप हिंदुइज्म में पूछ सकते हैं, आप किसी और रिलीजन में पूछिए कि आपके पास अल्लाह के होने का क्या प्रूफ है, प्रॉफिट के होने का क्या प्रूफ है, इसका क्या प्रूफ है कि somebody ascended to heaven on a winged horse, इसका क्या प्रूफ है someone walked on water, turned water to wine, right? So when it is a matter of belief, why is it that only Hindus are taken to the side and asked, is there a historicity to like 2000 years old, we have scriptures that actually mention Lord Ram, or things of that sort. So to say that somebody is older than that, I would like to see, my eyes would like to see the proof, but as I said, each to his own. Astha ka
No, it's not just about Astha. The fact is that there is a Ram Setu that exists. Okay, there is a Ram Setu that plots the journey from Rameshwaram to Dhanushkoti on the other side, and it is from Bharat to Sri Lanka. So that Ram Setu exists. That has a mention in the Adi Kavya that this Setu was built. Kishkinda is mentioned. In Hampi, if you go, there is a temple and there is a mountain where they say that this is where Hanuman was born. The fact that he is Anjana Sut, their reference to that is also mentioned. So there is a Dandakaranya, there is Chitrakoot. These places exist. It's not that Lav and Kush. So Lav and Kush set up Lahore and Purushpur.
There are various prerequisites to establish the historicity of something, a city, a person, a people, and those are as yet set in stone. Either you have a primary source, or you have a tablet, or you have a relief, or to give you an example, the oldest chariot that has been found in India, and you see in Ramayana everyone was using chariots and everything, is in Sanoli. How many years old is that? 4,500 years old, right? So as yet the person who would be using the oldest chariot that has been located in India, is that historicity is 4,000 years.
4,000, but at Rakhigadi,
yes,
the DNA datings have
Again,
recently found, it's gone up to 8,000 years.
8,000.
So another 4,000 years have been added. 4,000 years being added is a lot of time. So from the time of 8,000 years, where many believe that Ram was born around 7,500 years ago, because the alignment of the constellations is very similar. That's where I'm saying, again, a science.
Okay, Vishnu believes 120,000 years
No,
ago.
I'm just saying, so, but the fact is that the same alignment of constellations, also alignment of constellations is certain level of science. It's not random logic and thought process. Astrology is a science, and there is, if people have understood constellations, position of the sun, movement of the time, and we have a lunisolar calendar through which this Panchang has been seen, which calculates, the only factor that cannot be accurately calculated is time. But the movement of the earth, the axis of the earth, movement, circumference of the moon, or the rotation of the moon, revolution of the moon, of the sun, all of this has been calculated, and that's where the chronicles have happened. Vishnu Shankar Jain, please correct me if I'm wrong.
See, I'll just give you a legal aspect to this, because let's talk, someone will say that whatever we are talking is mythological. If Lord Ram is a myth, why does the Constitution of India recognize Lord Ram? On the preamble,
correct,
and on the text of the original constitution, you will find Lord Ram.
The goal is Ram Rajya.
Justice to all, appeasement to none.
Yeah.
So the framers of our Indian constitution have recognized Lord Ram. And today, after being recognized by the framers of the Indian constitution, we are debating whether Lord Ram exists or not. The point is this, that if can we have such kind of debate, and I am asking this with lot of sense of humility, can we have such kind of debate for Hazrat Bal? For Hazrat Bal, can you have such kind of debate? When there was a witness and the hair was missing, and then the hair was found, and there was a witness to it that this is the same. So I am not going into that, but I am saying that people have their own belief, and so far as belief is concerned, the Supreme Court has time and again said that my belief is not justiciable. The point here is this, that I have been to Rameshwaram. I have taken that floating stone which is still there in my house, and it corroborates with all these stories. I have still in all the auspicious occasions of my house Ramayana, which is Akhand Ramayana part hota hai hamare. So Ramayana, Rajiv Dhawan also said the same thing on the floor of the Supreme Court, that it's a myth. Ramayana is a myth. The Congress government filed an affidavit before the Supreme Court that Lord Ram is kalpanik. So the point is this, they call us Hindu Talibanis. So the point is this entire debate and controversy is that we do not come to the core issue, that our belief and faith and astha, and text after text and travelers after travelers and gazetteers after gazetteers have said, and that Lord Ram was being worshipped at Ayodhya. Forget about all these things. In 1510, Guru Nanak Dev has visited Ayodhya, and he has taken bath in Saryu river, and he has worshipped the Ram temple. And after that we are debating that whether Lord Ram exists or not. But despite that, we are ready to give all the references, we are ready to give all the facts and proofs and figures. And I must tell you on this show that the judgment of the Supreme Court in Ram Mandir case was not on the basis of belief, faith and astha. It was on the basis of scientific, historical and clinching astrological evidence. 2019, 1 SCC page 1, paragraph number 670.9. If someone will read, he will find specifically that the Supreme Court has said that the structure which was existing beneath this was a non-Islamic structure. And 14 कसौटी के pillars मिले थे वहाँ पे, शिवलिंग मिला था, वरा देवता की मूर्ति मिली थी, वरा देवता is haram in Islam. Then हनुमान जी की मूर्ति मिली थी. And apart from that,
this inscription was also
the
there.
inscription was there that फरिश्तों के उतरने की ये जगह है. श्री विष्णु हरि शिलालेख मिला था. And after that, the ASI has given all the report on the basis of various studies of different eras, and then this report has been given.
This is how I as a scientist would like to look at things. For example, why should anybody be obsessed to determine the historicity of Lord Ram? If people believe, like people believe God exists, if people believe Lord Ram existed, so be it. To give you a wonderful analogy, in fact it's the truth. For almost 2000 years, people believed in the Turin Shroud.
Shroud of
the Turin Shroud is where when Jesus was killed, he was wrapped in this shroud, and then after 3 days, he resurrected. 2000 years they believed, until in 1985, they did the carbon dating of the Turin Shroud and found it was only 600 years old, right? Did that stop people from believing in Turin Shroud? Many people still believe in the Turin Shroud. But science, the evidence is on the table. Who wants to believe it? Let it be. Who doesn't want to believe it? Let it be. For example, if you ask a scientist, is it humanly possible for a person to die and then ascend to the heaven on a winged horse? Has anybody seen a winged horse or a winged mule? Is it possible for a man to walk on water? Is it possible for a man to turn water to wine? But billions, not just millions, billions believe in that. And those billions are not going to listen to any rhyme or reason that you believe is rhyme or reason. So my thing is, let it be. If people believe that Lord Ram existed and it gives them solace, and without hurting anyone, they had established birthplace of Lord Ram without saying that, look, we are snatching this birthplace away from somebody else's Lord. Of course they did. What is the harm in that?
See, there was a very interesting question that was put forward. I was having a conversation with Pandit Vamdev Shastri or Dr. David Frawley.
Yes.
So he made certain observations. He said in Saudi Arabia, when Saudi Arabia came to fruition, they destroyed a lot of the Turkish mosques because they said, this is not our way. Our way is the Ahl Sunnah. So this is how the Sunni way, we are going to build our mosques. So mosques were destroyed. In an Islamic nation of another Islamic grouping, mosques were destroyed, and they said, no, we want mosques our way. In Hindustan, in Bharat, why do Hindus have to prove this is our place of astha and say that somebody built something? He also asked, 4% of the world's landmass is Bharat of today. इतनी जमीन पड़ी है, मस्जिद तो आप कहीं पे भी बनाए, एंड देयर इज अ रूल, राइट, एज पर द लॉ, एज पर द रूल, द लैंड हैज टू बी प्योर, क्लियर ऑफ टाइटल, देयर शुड बी नो डिस्प्यूट. दैट्स वेयर आप इबादत के लिए आप एक घर बना रहे हैं, उसको आप बनाइए. इज दिस एन अनफेयर क्वेश्चन टू आस्क? व्हाई इज इट दैट देन इट बिकम्स सच अ बिग थिंग कि हिंदू अपनी जगह मांग रहे तो नहीं देंगे?
Before replying again, I will come to
Please.
existence of Prabhu Ram. Bharat is very old civilization.
Yeah.
We have Puranas, Veds and all these which are thousands of years old
Yes.
scriptures. In Arabia there is no book older than Quran which exists.
Correct.
So how come people know that how Prophet Muhammad was born, there was a cloud always covering him and all details of his childhood and everything? Who noted it? Which historian was there? Prophethood came at 40 years age. So how come we know all these things? But if we ask about this existence of Prophet Muhammad, it is blasphemy. But it is India's democracy, it is beauty of India's democracy that we are asking about Prabhu Ram. Now, coming to your answer, my childhood was in Saudi Arabia.
Ji.
And when I was about 9 years old, we went to do many ziyarat in Medina. Those old mosques that you are talking, we have seen those. There was a well for Muslims bought from Jewish by third Caliph Usman. Now after few years, when I was working in Saudi Arabia and one of my relatives came and he said that we want to see all those ziyarat. I took them in my car and I could not find any. All those places were destroyed by Saudi government. Place of birth of Muhammad was a wuzu khana. All other sacred mosques and these destroyed, finished. Jannatul Baqi, the biggest kabristan, biggest graveyard, there is no structure in that kabristan where thousands of Sahabas were buried. But here in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, we have thousands of mazars, which is illegal. One thing which I think Muslims of India should be proud of this government, that according to Islam, a masjid on a place of another place of worship or illegal place is haram. And praying in that masjid is haram. So Muslims who were praying in Babri Mosque for 500 years were doing a haram thing. Now today this Sarkar has given a beautiful place to them which is legal. The mosque is legal.
It's
and
waqf.
the prayers, the namaz in that masjid will be halal and they will be rewarded by God for their prayers. So I think this is a good thing for Muslims also done. And same
ask
thing
you a
should be
question?
done in
But-
Mathura,
Please.
Mathura, Kashi, wherever. I think it is our, as a Muslim, duty to hand over those places because they are illegal structures according to Islam. Now, Vishnuji gave a legal perspective, archaeological, scientific, but according to Islam also, what namaz we are doing, performing in Kashi Masjid, Janmabhoomi, which is, and Mathura, I think Muslims should ask for an alternate place where a legal masjid. And now this Babri Masjid, the new Babri Masjid, has a school, a hospital, very beautiful. I think this is the best thing to do.
आरिफ जी, एक सवाल मैं आपसे I want to ask you. As you know, Ayodhya is a town steeped in our Hindu civilization. Some may call it religion, way of life, but it's a sacred city, like Kashi is, like Vatican is. And in Vatican City, of course, we are a secular country. Anybody is free to erect any place of worship wherever he wants legally. But in Vatican City, for example, you cannot have a mosque. You are not allowed to have a mosque in Vatican City. In Ayodhya, they are going to build a mosque, which according to them is going to be India's largest mosque, which will be seen from dozens of kilometers away. Do you as a Muslim feel that is that needlessly provocative?
Well, in Makkah, you don't think about temple. A non-Muslim cannot even enter Makkah or Medina. So, this is a very sad thing. I went to Somnath because Somnath is our ancestral Mandir. My parents were born in Gujarat, 25 kilometers from Somnath. And when I saw mosques around Somnath, it was a sad thing. I went to Mahakal day before yesterday. And when I came out of Mahakal in car, and I think hardly 500 meters and there was a big mosque there. So it is a sad thing. It is the limit of tolerance that people have reached now.
So it is going to be larger than the Ram temple, the mosque in Ayodhya. I mean, you know, it's all, as I said, it is legal, it is a person's constitutional right
I'll answer you.
to have, you know, the largest building on a legal land. But there is also
It's
something
not
called-
legal. It's not legal. It is illegal according to me, and let me explain it to you why. See, the Supreme Court has, there is a fallacy in the judgment of the Supreme Court when this alternate land is given. And from the Hindu side, I was the only party who filed a review petition against the order of the Supreme Court. Because let us come to the basic principles. The basic principle is once a temple, always a temple. Once a mosque, always a mosque. You cannot demolish a temple and build a mosque, and vice versa. So once that place, and the addenda of the judgment of the Supreme Court is very clear. The Supreme Court addenda says that there was a pre-existing structure there. So when this judgment has come in the favor of Ram Lala Virajman and the suit number 5 has been decreed, why on the basis that you were doing an illegal namaz there from 1855 till the date of the judgment, that is till 1949, I'm sorry, not the date of judgment, you should be given an alternate land of 5 acres? Can you imagine the shocking part? The land of Allahabad High Court was declared as Waqf property and mosque was built in 2017. The Allahabad High Court came to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court said that your mosque is illegal, but then also gave alternate land to them. So I am saying on the basic principle, the judgment of the Supreme Court is there. Supreme Court is supreme, but the point is that on strong legal principles, the land, the alternate land given to...
My question is slightly different. Anand, just 5 seconds.
Sure.
Just 5 seconds. Vishnuji, even if we agree with what you say and you have a legitimate, grouse against that, Muslims can still purchase 5 acres of land in Ayodhya. And my question is, do you feel, is it not provocative? And I'm asking a Muslim out here, to build the largest Indian mosque just a stone's throw away from the most sacred land of Hindus, that will, tower over the temple itself? That is the question.
No, see, I'll tell you, there is another way to look at it. As a Hindu, as a believer, for me, where my Ishtadev was born, there should be a temple. Whether 500 meters, a kilometer away, 2 kilometers away, there is another place of prayer, does not worry me.
So
it does not. See, that's
why I'm asking men of faith. I asked a Muslim.
I'm telling you why. Because that's the beauty of Samabhava or Samanvaya.
Even if it towers over the temple.
For me, the fact is, this is where my Ram Lala was born and there should be a temple. I'm just saying from a I'm not speaking as an anchor, I'm just speaking as an individual, as a citizen. I can continue to, but my way of life is inclusive. My way of life is not exclusive. Those who say that यहाँ पर और कोई इबादत की जगह नहीं हो सकती are the ones who practice an exclusive way of life. That's why you cannot build anything in and around the Vatican or in and around Medina. But that's the beauty of who I am as Bharatiya and our civilization and Hindu way of life. That there can exist a Jain Mandir, there can exist a Parsi Agyari, there can exist a Buddhist temple, a church, a mosque around the same parisar of temple. As long as you don't deliberately come and say, this is your place of worship, no, I'll continue to sit on it just to rub it into you that we ruled over you. See, that is the attitude which somewhere I'm asking you people, does it not reflect when people deliberately walk into a mosque named Gyanvapi? Gyanvapi, knowledge well. What has knowledge well got to do with this one? So, or walking into Shri Ram Janmbhoomi and calling it an Eidgah and keeping it there. You still want to keep it there, right? That is the mindset that I'm asking you, what does that portray?
I agree, but Gita gives us all opportunity to pray however we want and whomever we want.
Correct.
It does not restrict like other Abrahamic religions. But still, did not we pay enough price for that inclusivity? Now,
so we have paid the price, but we are the only ones who survive.
The country, I am speaking.
No, we are the only ones civilizationally
you
who continue to survive. See, for the Parsis, the Udwada, the Iran Shah, for 1000 years they ran and they hid only in and around Bharat, and finally the resting place for the ancient Persians, the Zoroastrians, is in Udwada in Gujarat. I am very proud of it as a Bharatiya. For those who follow the Baha'i faith, the Lotus Temple is right there in the national capital. It's a place that we should be proud
But
of.
then,
Why should
then that logic should apply for Rohingyas also. But that logic should apply for
No,
Rohingyas.
no. Those who come
Those are
legally
not-
into my country, there is no problem, sir. Those who come.
No, the Rohingyas
Those are not
inclusion.
imposing.
Now Rohingyas have been legalized by the Supreme Court.
No, those
when we were looking for their deportation, the Supreme Court said that no, please wait for it.
See, that,
and the
see,
point
that,
is today
see,
the most
there
of
the wisdom of
But
of
the
certain
faith-
judges I am not going to get into because I will be pulled up for contempt of court.
मैं तो अभी बचाओ
अभी बचो, आप अभी बचो, thanks to Jai Sai Deepak. But yeah, Arif Saab ji.
But the faiths you were talking about, Persians and Baha'i, those are not imposing faiths.
predatory
But this ideology is imposing. I'm not saying that Muslims are wrong or this, but they should also accommodate other faiths then. Why not? The biggest Jain temple in Pakistan was destroyed. All the
Swami and
temples,
Buddhas.
there is a Shakti Peeth which is being converted now
Into a cafeteria.
into
Sharda Peeth.
cafeteria.
Yes, yes.
There is a old mandir in Manoda, Karachi, which is a tourist toilet now.
yes
There are so many thousands of mandirs, gurdwaras, Buddha temples, Jain temples, all were destroyed. So why one-sided? Why we always accommodate everything?
Sir,
this is my question.
no, my point is, sir, if everybody becomes exclusive, then there will always be friction and conflict. I'm not saying that anybody should bend over backwards. At a time when somebody tries, we have to fight. The fact is that he's Jain, he's Vishnu Shankar Jain. So his name has Vishnu Shankar and he's Jain. I wanted to turn around and ask him, somebody must have said, "Aap to Jain hai, aap kyun lad rahe ho?" Did somebody ever ask you this
No one
question?
has understood the Jain concept and the Jain
Yeah,
philosophy.
yeah.
No mantra of Jain starts without Om.
Om.
And you would have always seen Jain and Hindu mandirs together.
Correct.
Jain and Hindu mandirs together. If you will go to Ranakpur, Jain temple,
Yeah.
we worship Bhairav Bhairavi
Bhairav Bhairavi,
in the
correct.
Jain temple.
I've been there, yeah.
And if you will see Qutub Minar, it was 27
All
Jain and
27
Hindu
Jain temples.
temples which were demolished.
Yeah.
So it's actually a wrong concept to say that Jains are it's a all political game, but Jains are all part of the larger philosophy. We are all part of the same family, and we actually the point is this. And let me come back to the issue. The Ram Mandir case would have been solved in 1992. Let me give you this historical perspective.
Many
There
believe it
was
could
a-
have been solved in 1947 itself
No,
with partition, Hindustan, Pakistan, then all land, all that
there
belongs to
was-
Hindus should have become
there
temples.
was a presidential
No.
reference
Ji.
in 1992 to the Supreme Court, and the presidential reference was that whether a temple has been demolished and a mosque has been constructed. The Supreme Court refused to answer that presidential question in 1992
Why?
in Ismail Faruqi case and said that matter will be settled in the civil suit.
Why?
See, these
Why
are
did the courts of our country
That's what.
No, why do our courts, with due respect to our justices,
thank you for adding that
with due respect to our justices, and there are some phenomenal judgments that have also come. So their wisdom is not. But the fact is this attitude to compensate one hand
Virtue
and the
signaling.
other, and this virtue
Wokeism.
signaling, and on the other hand to deny the rights of. So is it a group's fault that they are the majority in the country, that they should be continuously punished for it and they'll have to prove themselves over and over again?
See, I think that this is a mindset which we are working upon. If you would have seen that at the time of the freedom struggle, there were certain sections in the society which were asking for dominion status, and there were sections of the society which were asking for Purna Swaraj.
Purna Swaraj.
The people who were asking for Purna Swaraj were believed to be extremists, and people who were asking for dominion status were believed to be moderates. So today also there is the same point, same philosophy, same logic. The people who are asking for only hame Kashi Mathura de do are moderates. Those who are saying that hame sare mandir jo tod ke masjid banai gayi wo de do, they are extremists. The point is this, that in this constitutional setup you have to fight for your logic, you have to fight for your reason, and in this constitutional setup there is Justice Harinath Tilhari also, who is existing, who gave a judgment on 1st December 1993 that Lord Ram is a constitutional entity and you cannot stop the darshan of Lord Ram in this very case, and that judgment was passed. We have seen in this very case in 2010 many senior lords travelled to the Supreme Court and said that please direct the Allahabad High Court not to give judgment on 30th of September 2010 because there will be chaos in the country. We have seen in this very case Mr. Kapil Sibal going and saying to the Supreme Court that decide this matter after 2019 elections. We have seen in this very case Mr. Rajiv Dhawan tearing off the original Naksha of Lord Ram and Ram Mandir and Ram Temple in the Supreme Court right in front of the 5 judges, and no contempt action was drawn. So these are the things. This is a civilizational battle, and I feel that if we are asking and talking about first legal principle, that once a temple, always a temple, and you give the dignity back of this civilization, and we have the right for freedom of all the temples from government control or from any other religious control, and don't compensate in lieu of these temples, is the question which has to be answered by the courts of this country.
Yeah, so Boeing stock is down significantly today, driven by the fact that a panel from a 737 MAX 9 blew out unexpectedly mid-flight. So that just obviously has both consumers and investors scared and worried about the future of the company. Boeing shares will probably struggle here for a little bit, as like you said, investors are worried. There's just an emotional reaction even to owning a stock with negative sentiment like this. So we do think it's going to be choppy. There'll be more volatility for the stock, but as they do investigations and we really understand what went wrong here, we think, like I said, this will be a one-time event, which ultimately will help just the stock rebound as we learned that this really isn't a Boeing.
Do you believe that these contentious issues of faith, astha, especially of the Hindus, see, if there is tomorrow a Buddhist group comes and says, this was a Buddhist vihara, this has been destroyed, please restore it. Don't think anybody, especially if they say the Hindu temple built, the Hindus will be the first to say we'll rebuild the Buddhist vihara. I'm just saying, do you believe these contentious issues need to be resolved once and for all, and with samanvaya, where everybody has to be party? If we as a nation really have to grow, RFG, let me start with you and then we'll come to you. Do you believe this needs to be resolved if we really want to be a Viksit Bharat by 2047?
Well, in 1492, when Queen Isabel defeated Kingdom of Granada, Caliphate of Spain, they destroyed all mosques. Kartaba Masjid, Jama Masjid Kartaba, Allama Iqbal has a nazam on Kartaba Masjid. I went to there and it is a church now. So this was a solution centuries before. India never got this chance because we never conquered anyone. Shivaji Maharaj had conquered most of
Hindavi
India,
Raja, 70
but
years,
still he was a tolerant, as you say that we are inclusive, and so he never destroyed any
They didn't even change the court language. It continued to remain Persian during Shivaji's time.
No, Shivaji was
That
the
was
first
a
one
chance.
to change.
It used to be Persian,
Yeah.
and then for a long time, and then it changed to Marathi thereafter.
So I think that now today you cannot you cannot deny the fact that there are 200 million Muslims or 250 million Muslims living in India, and they are Indians. But everyone has to learn to live together and exist side by side.
So, my
it
question
is not
to you-
only one group
so
of
these
people,
250
everyone.
million Muslims collectively don't have a conscience which says that I cannot pray at a place which is a place for somebody else, and the remaining 700 odd or 800 odd million people, Hindus, deserve their place of astha. Is it so difficult to resolve this?
Yeah.
I have
Is
a
it so
solution
difficult to
for
resolve?
that.
Because only then are we going to collectively say we are doing it for Bharat, we are doing it for each other, let's work together and let's progress.
I am a student of international affairs going to United Nations Geneva since 29 years. Secularism is not correct in Bharat. In secularism there is no minority, no majority.
Yeah.
Because a state has no religion. In Bharat there are minorities,
Yeah.
there are reservations, there are things. In England, my daughter went to university, there was no seat especially for her or anything. So secularism, if corrected, things will get better in India. One last point I would like to mention, that I went to Mathura last year, and when I saw that a mosque is higher than Shri Ram Janmbhoomi, and as a Muslim I felt very sad. I said that this mosque might be 400, 500 years old. This Shri Ram Janmbhoomi is thousands years old. So how would you be feeling when you will be seeing this? This is a very, I think, very
This is
sad
exactly
thing.
what I'm trying to say, that if you don't have, that's the attitude. If you believe that no, I want this because I want to rub it in, then you have the same Aurangzebi or Babri mindset. No?
No. You don't you don't have the Aurangzebi and Babri mindset. You have the original Quranic mindset. Let's be very honest about it. Because this is all written in the scriptures. And I'm not reinventing the wheel out here. People may call me Sanghi, if they call me whatever, free to. Will they also call Dr. Ambedkar Sanghi, who talked about Dar al-Harb and Dar al-Islam, and the absolute watertight distinction that has to be made as far as what is it that Islam demands of you, of a Muslim. Why can't Muslims look at the destruction that they caused? Why can't they look at the half demolished Gyan Vyapi Kashi Vishwanath temple on which the mosque is there? Can't they see? Can't they see there was a temple? Why won't they allow their Hindu brothers to worship? And I take you back to not just 500 years, I take you back to 5 months when the Hindus groveled to allow them land to have Ganesh Chaturthi celebration in a small field.
In Karnataka.
And the Muslims refused. They went to court. They said this is Waqf land. You dare not even celebrate for a day. So please get it in your mind, everybody else, not an inch will be given. Not an inch. It has to be fought legally, and that is the tragedy.
No,
Hindus
but-
aren't even allowed to fight it legally.
Then see.
Like places of worship at
Yes.
that don't talk about any other thing
No, not
apart
ju-
from Ram Mandir.
We'll have a separate conversation on Places of Worship Act 1991, because that's a different conversation altogether. But then this attitude automatically then says that, listen, until the last time both Rama and Krishna wanted to avoid war, but at the end of the day, then if the only way is to fight, then the only way will be fight. But I'm just saying, in a greater cause for Bharat, unless these issues are resolved, we will continue to have turbulence.
Legal.
See, now the legal aspect is, and I'm not bringing the Places of Worship Act, but there is an act of the parliament which is saying, don't resolve these issues.
Yeah.
Don't rake up these issues. Apart from
Right,
Ram Mandir,
right.
Section 5 of the Places of Worship Act says, apart from Ram Mandir case, no other issues will be raked up, and precisely that's what their argument is.
Supreme Court has ratified it.
Yes, in Ram Janmbhoomi case 2019 1 SCC page 1. that this Places of Worship Act is valid, and now we have challenged the act before the Supreme Court. The notice has
that's just
See,
compensation.
the point is this,
Virtue
that
signaling.
you cannot ask the majority community to compensate on the basis of their fundamentals. There can be no compromise on the fundamentals, and precisely that's what, when in the Ram Mandir hearing, there was an era when the Supreme Court said, let's all of you sit and let's resolve it, and let's have a mediation, and there was a gag order of the Supreme Court that don't disclose what happened in the mediation, but now the judgment is over. I must tell you that in that mediation also, what was told was that हम ये तो आपको दे देंगे, पर काशी मथुरा और बाकी किसी के बारे में बात नहीं होनी चाहिए. हम ये तो आपको दे देंगे, पर हमें ऑल्टरनेट लैंड दी जाए. और वही हुआ. ये जो जजमेंट है, ये वही है जो मीडिएशन में हुआ था.
No, but I'm just saying that in this case, rights for everybody in our constitution is enshrined, and the right to pray, right to worship remains for everyone.
Correct.
So one should not be compromised on the basis of the other, and one should not be overtly preferred and the other one overtly negated. Now, if that's the situation, then perhaps that's not justice as far as the constitution and the tenets. Gentlemen, phenomenal conversation.
Wonderful.
Would have loved to extend this, but we have paucity of time. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is quite a bit different than the two crashes that we had with the earlier 737 Maxes, because those were a technological software issue. This is just a mechanical issue within the fuselage. And like I said, from all evidence so far, this is a one-time event. So I think these are quite a bit different. Obviously, the fact this wasn't deadly either helps with that cause. But we see this as just a mechanical breakdown of a part within that fuselage, and not a mass issue across the 737 MAX 9s. Due to the fact that we see this as just a one-time event, and a lot of the dip in the stock is just on fear, that's usually the best time to get into a stock, because it has become oversold. So we see this as a short-term drop in the stock and a buying opportunity as we begin to get more information that will help the stock rebound. Right now, Boeing is going to be in a little bit of a damage control situation. They'll obviously make press releases, and they'll try to articulate the fact that this was just a one-time event and what they will do going forward to help keep this from happening again. But once again, this will happen. These are not perfect machines. Things can go wrong. So I think as long as they take responsibility and try to look forward what they're going to do next, I think that would just overall just kind of help the sentiment around the stock. I think you do have to look at the suppliers. Like I said, I mentioned Spare Aerosystems. They're the ones that provide the fuselage that had the breakdown here. So as you go further down the chain, that will affect, and you probably will see some turnover in the suppliers for Boeing. That's probably where you're going to see the biggest hit, where Boeing is forced to move away from a specific supplier because they're the one that ultimately takes that blame. Anytime you're flying in the air, I can imagine that brings a lot of emotion. So even from people that are on the ground, it makes them more worrisome about their air travel. So that will have an effect short term on just the entire airline.
Good evening, welcome to Brass Tacks. I'm Zakir Jacob. India and Pakistan have had an extremely troubled bilateral relationship since the formation of both countries more than 75 years ago. 4 wars have been fought between New Delhi and Islamabad in 1948, 1965, 1971, and of course Kargil War in 1999. And on multiple occasions in these last 75 years, both nuclear-armed neighbors have come this close to war. One such instance happened on the night of the 27th of February 2019. It was right after the Balakot airstrikes and the capture of Indian Air Force pilot Wing Commander Abhinandan Vartaman. To get us a ringside view of how a full-blown war was averted back on the night of the 27th of February 2019,